Welcome to the Roto Joe's Fantasy Football Podcast. Guys, tonight we have a Week 6 love-hate show. Before we even start, is Cam Akers ever going to play another game with the Rams?
That's a weird scenario, man. Like, I was reading into it today. So here's a breakdown on it. They started by labeling it personal matters, which is eerily similar to what happened to Calvin Ridley a year ago. Remember, it started as personal matters, and then all of a sudden he's doing dumb shit like betting on the Rams, all jokes aside, no one knows. It's a big mystery. There's a lot of controversy in it, and everybody, I've heard, even you just said trade rumors. I've heard mental health things. Clearly Cam Akers is not performing at the level Cam Akers is expected to perform at. Is that fair to say?
He's performing to my expectations.
But not the Rams'
expectations. Probably, yeah. He probably was expecting a little more out of all this.
That too. So here's the question. Is he going to get traded? Is he going to take the year off and go find himself? Where are we at on Cam Akers?
He can find himself, but he can't find another Achilles.
He can't find the hole in the O-line either.
So I heard a good. I didn't hear it. I read it. I wish I would give their if I could remember who it was. I really need to start saving these type of things. Someone on Fantasy Twitter, I think it was a bigger account. I think it was someone that worked at Fantasy Pros. I don't remember. I'd have to go look. Made the point that if you watch the press conference where Sean McVay, personal issues, he's not playing this week. McVay's a bad liar. Like, you can kind of tell when he's in coach speak mode.
Yeah.
If he has personal stuff going on, the way that McVay framed it was not, there was no, I hope he gets better, I hope this, I hope that. It was very short, very quick to the point, and was done. I think he's traded. I don't think there's, and if there are personal issues that are going on, I'm sorry, and I hope that gets better, because what I'm about to say is going to sound shitty in retrospect. If that is the case, I think Cam Akers just isn't as good as they all thought coming off of this Achilles injury, which was foreseeable. But if you're in the Rams position where you spend that high draft pick on him, you can't really, you got to roll him out there.
Not to go around anymore.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta have him try at least. But he just, this is what happens to running backs that tear their Achilles. Even James Robinson, who we'll talk about next segment, everyone was real hot on him after he scores a few touchdowns, but the guy is not looking 4 yards per carry. Nothing crazy. Etienne's about to take over the backfield. So even James Robinson, the one maybe success story we can point to post-Achilles tear, isn't doing swimmingly. He's not tearing the league up by any means, not to the extent that he was before the injury. So right. I really just think they're done with Akers. I think Kyren Williams is about to come off IR. That's a waiver ad. You're a week early. He'll come back week 8, so you have 2 weeks to wait on Kyren. But if he's on your waiver wire, you need to go grab him now. Whatever. I'd spend all my fab on him if I had fab left. I wouldn't really care.
If I had fab left.
Yeah, if I had any fab left in my leagues, I would have already betted on that. You can't take fab with you in the off season. But
right.
Yeah, I just think
so here's the deal. I agree with you. I don't think I think he has, we got to give him credit on the athleticism side of things. He did come back from that injury very quickly. Not at a very productive level, but nonetheless, he did come back. I think you're right. It's either a mental health thing or it is a trade. But goddamn, Teddy Bridgewater was on the bus with the Jets when he found out that he was traded. So I don't think they're really prepping something like that. That seems kind of odd that they, and nothing's
cutting him.
I couldn't imagine that because he's still on a rookie deal. So he's not making a whole hell of a lot of money. And they're so far over the fucking cap, it doesn't really matter. His $1 million ain't gonna fucking break the bank, Yeah, so I find the trade thing kind of hard to believe. Or maybe it's just, this saga could go a lot of different ways, and I'm down for the ride. I personally think either way you spin it, I don't know if we see Cam Akers in a Rams uniform again.
I think that is the for sure here. Whatever's going on, I think that is the for sure. He's not going to be a difference maker again. If you still believe in Cam Akers, though, probably buy him for peanuts in Dynasty.
No.
I wouldn't do that, but if you're a Cam Akers truther and you still think something's there, you can go buy him cheap. I bet you could get. I bet you get like 2/3 in some leagues.
Yeah, if you played high school football and he trucked you a couple times, and you just really believe that he needs to be on your roster, you can get him for a bag of Cracker Jacks right now, or a box of Cracker Jacks right now. So, I think Henderson has clearly outplayed him. That's the fact of the matter, especially right now. So, yeah, no, I mean, you're going to hear a lot of speculation going up to November 1st, trade deadline. I think we see more so than in the past years some actual names go on the move. So,
Robbie Anderson to the Packers. I'm manifesting it now.
DJ to the Packers.
They won't trade DJ Moore. I want to see McCaffrey to the Bills. That's what I want to see.
You want to see McCaffrey go to a division rival of your favorite team?
Because we suck. It's just like the Texans. Do you at this point would you rather go for the entertainment factor or your team winning maybe 2 more games?
No, I get it. We shouldn't have won that game.
We're gonna lose to the Bills anyways. I like Josh Allen. Fuck, at this point, let them run the division for some years. We had 20. I got to watch 5. I got to watch 3 Super Bowl wins in person and 2 of them not in person. But no, yeah, 3 and 3. I watched 3 in person and 3 highlights. And yeah, I've had my fill. That's more than most NFL fans get in a lifetime. So we can suck for some years. Bill Belichick needs to get fired. We need a clean house, whole new staff. Call Kyle Shanahan when he gets fired from the Niners, inevitably for no reason. And Patriots Nation, let's ride.
Oh, bad take.
All right. So before we get into love, hates, bets, everything like that, first, Tennessee knocked off Alabama. That was a good game. I don't know if you watched that, but Bama missed a field goal with 30 seconds left. Hendon Hooker took the ball 30 yards in 15 seconds, and the Vols nailed a field goal to win the game.
ECU beat Oklahoma State, double overtime thriller, last play type of shit. So
I saw
good,
that.
good for TCU. Texas beat, who'd we play? Iowa State. That was a good game. We really gave it to them on a silver platter, but we were able to win it at the end.
Xavier Worthy is going to be a fucking monster in the NFL. That's Hollywood Brown, but better.
Yeah, he's going to be a monster. Quinn Ewers is still that dude. Here's what I saw. Quinn Ewers is playing at a level that I don't think the rest of the offense can handle. That's my take on it. That guy is just cool, calm, collective in the pocket. He hits people in the fucking hands, and they're not used to that. So there is a little bit of a step off there. Our defense isn't elite, so that's going to get us into trouble. But, we've got some really strong pieces to build around.
Yeah, I like Ewers. Ewers is good. He's I don't think Arch Manning's going to beat him out for a job.
Best mullet around, baby.
All right. Now, first segment. Didn't know what to call it. Still a little awkward. But ended up with take it or leave it. So we're going to talk about a player, where they're at in the rankings right now, and points scored. And are we going to take it, feel like they're going to stay in that range and finish where they're at, or leave it, see a massive drop, which call it the Cordell Patterson, because CPAT went from like RB2 to RB40 real fast last year. So, first player, maybe the biggest surprise in all of football, quarterback 7, Geno Smith, with 19 points per game. So he's in the top 8 quarterbacks. Taking it or leaving it?
I'm kind of on take it, man. I mean, I think we kind of slept on Geno. I think he he was one of those unfortunate people that just went to shitty team after shitty team. Now he's older. He's not going to be a buy in Dynasty. He shouldn't be on your waiver wire, but if he is, I would absolutely say pick him up. But he's kind of a better fit in that offense than Russell Wilson was, to be real honest with you. He just has that it factor. He's hungry. I like it, man. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm in on that one.
He's done really well passing the ball deep. He's attacked the field well. I'm surprised. I mean, he's not throwing a ton, and that would be my one hang-up. Only throwing it 31 times a game. Getting, again, really good deep ball luck. Is that him? Is that the defense playing up, trying to play the run? I don't know. But
I guess we'll find out real soon.
All in all, yeah, he's played really well. I'm probably gonna. I'd take it if I'm saying he's gonna be a top 12 quarterback because he might be 11 or 12. But
I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be quarterback one, but I like
playable quarterback.
Like him in that range of outcomes.
He's a playable quarterback in a one quarterback league.
Yep. Every week almost.
Now, onto the complete other spectrum of quarterbacks. I have Matthew Stafford, quarterback 23 with 12 points per game. I'm going to take this one as well. I think that the line's legitimately bad. I think he's banged up. If this season continues going to shit, I mean, if you're looking at a team that's under 500, week 10, week 11, they might just shut him down. It's not been pretty. Throwing a pick in every game but one. Throwing multiple picks against Buffalo. I think it was Buffalo. I think threw 3 picks against Buffalo. But, I mean, his peripherals are okay. He's throwing the ball at a top 12 rate, 69% completion percentage. That's nice. But just something's weird in LA right now. Just something's weird. I think they have a big Super Bowl hangover, and they don't have any depth to make up for it.
No depth, no picks. Yeah.
No run game.
I'm going to take him where he's at. Here's the thing about Matthew Stafford is he threw a shitload of picks last year too. I'm not saying he's inaccurate. He is that big arm Brett Favre prototype. You know what I mean? He is the same kind of guy. He slings contested, he throws the contested ball. He knows what he's doing, and it just a lot of times it just doesn't go his way. That I don't think that's ever going to change about him. He's an interception happy quarterback. Now last year he was able to offset that throwing 2 or 3 touchdowns to Cooper Kupp in a game, but they don't have. I don't want to say they don't have the talent because they do. He just doesn't utilize it. So yeah, I think he definitely finishes outside the top 12. I wouldn't say as low as 23. I mean, I see him as kind of that 15 to 19 guy. But he is definitely not going to finish this year as a quarterback one. So I'm going to take that one too.
Yeah, he's not playable in one quarterback league. Even if I have 14 quarterbacks, I'm probably not playing him. Here's a really fun one. Before I start with this, I also want to say that all the analysts who thought Josh Jacobs was dead, you guys were wrong. That was stupid. That was bad. As I've done this whole podcasting and as we've been doing it, what I've learned is a lot of the guys at the big companies just talk really, really, really loud, so it gets retweeted, and that's it. And they don't really have a clue about what they're talking about, which is annoying. It's kind of, if fantasy Twitter goes too high or too low on a player, I kind of take the inverse position. That's what happened with Josh Jacobs. So we're talking about in half-point PPR, the RB4 Josh Jacobs. Are you taking him or leaving him as a top 6 fantasy running back at the end of the year? Top 12, RB1.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely taking him at that because here's the thing. Josh Jacobs has never had a Josh McDaniels around. He's never had he's never had a receiving core like he does to take the pressure off. And he's even still produced over the years when healthy. Yeah, going into this year, I knew Josh Jacobs was going to ball. Here's what kind of scared me away from it, though, is when they did not pick up his fifth-year option. I thought he was falling out of favor with the organization. I thought as soon as I heard that, that kind of made me pump the brakes a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what the situation was. I was like, okay, so they took Zamir White. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe that's what they want. So that was a concern for me. But, I mean, I completely knew his potential. He came in the league year one and was tearing it apart, had some bad injury luck. I mean, we've always known his potential. I'm glad to see him flourish. He's going to go up this offseason, whether it's the Raiders or someone else, and get absolutely fucking paid. And that reiterates my long-standing point of take that guy on a contract here because they ball out.
Josh Jacobs, I'd take him as a top 6 fantasy running back. He's getting elite pass, not elite, but for his skill set and the type of player he is, an elite amount of passing work. 99 routes run, that's good for 9th in the NFL. 11% target share, which is okay, but they pass the ball quite a bit. He has 91 carries. That's 5th most in the NFL. He is just absolutely dominating the opportunities in Las Vegas right now. I think that he's probably a guy in some leagues. It's going to sound weird talking about the RB4 like this. Probably buy low on him in some leagues. And what I mean by that is you're going to have teammates or league mates who are probably not as aware of those peripherals. Maybe they're thinking he's just getting lucky. They don't pay attention very much. And they just know Josh Jacobs is a guy who's okay, and he was about to get cut. He played in the Hall of Fame game. And
that was concerning, wasn't it? I forgot about that. That was an issue.
Yeah. So you might be able to still buy low on him. And obviously it's not like literal buy low, but it's buy low relative to where he's really at in real life fantasy value, especially in a redraft league. All right. Next running back, we have Dameon Pierce. He's the RB11 right now, 14.3 half-point PPR fantasy points per game. Dameon Pierce, I'm absolutely taking him as a top 12 running back rest of the season. He's getting 86 rushes. Josh Jacobs has 91. It's only 5 less rushes than a guy like Josh Jacobs. 412 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, already has 3 touchdowns. He's going to continue to dominate that backfield. And they've used him, they don't use him a ton in the passing game, but enough that you're getting a little bit of a receiving floor there. Like 30 or 40 catches in a year is probably what he's looking at. I love Pierce. He's a guy that I'd be willing to try to buy still just because we haven't seen the full-on unleashing of him. We're just starting it.
Yeah, he is absolutely a buy for me. He's a guy, I mean, I talked about him a lot going into the year because I knew he was going to get that opportunity very quickly. Absolutely love to watch him play, first of all. Outside of the fantasy aspect, that guy is a fucking bulldozer. Just stout as they get. I mean, did you see that one run against Jacksonville? That was just he didn't score on it, but it was just absolutely fucking insane. He's trucking guys. He's throwing them off. I mean, this guy is a man. And no doubt in my mind, he is going to be an RB1 at the end of the year. I knew that going into the season. I don't think you're going to be able to buy at any reasonable price, but especially
It's still worth it.
It is. It's expensive, but it's going to be worth it. So yeah, I'm definitely in on him. Definitely taking him as an RB1. I think he's a guy that we have a conversation about next year. Is he a first round pick? And at this moment, I believe so.
Oh yeah. I thought at one point the plan would be let Dameon Pierce play this year, draft a real running back next year. And the way he's playing, you can't justify drafting another running back to play other than maybe a receiving back.
Yeah, I was going to say I could see a James White type entering the chat at some point, but nothing more than that. He's going to be a guy that does nothing but catch the ball for CJ Stroud. That's going to be it.
You hope. Actually, it probably will happen. You guys should have a top 5 pick. All right, next running back, last running back, James Robinson. RB 15, 12.2 points per game, taking it or leaving it. Top 24 RB rest of the season.
No, I'm going to leave that one, and here's why. As we've gone through these first 5 weeks, his snap count has gone down. ETN is taking over. ETN had 119 yards last week, all-purpose yards. They are getting ETN into the group. Now, ETN had an injury himself. They both came back off of injury. I think ETN's a little more healthy, especially right now, than James Robinson really is. They say he's good, but we all know how that goes in the NFL. They said Tua was good too, right? So I don't listen to fucking anything the team says about a player with their injury history anymore or how they really are feeling. I don't think he started 100%. He got a lot of opportunity just given their game script, but I think ETN is a more trustable Jaguars running back each week. And it was really bad because I was beating that drum all off season, and for about 3 or 4 weeks, I felt like a fucking idiot. I'm not going to lie. I was like, God damn. I was dead ass wrong. Like, I was ready to accept that defeat, but I'm back on. I mean, I've always been on the bandwagon, but I'm back to that horn. He's the better running back. He's got the more fantasy side. He can do more for you. And I think we continue to see that. So yeah, I think he's gonna fall. I think he's gonna fall from where he's at.
I agree. He's one of these plotter backs that like ETN's clearly more talented, especially after this Achilles deal. I'm leaving him. He's probably going to be like RB 35, 40 at the end of the year. He might end up injured just because the re-injury rate on that Achilles injury is high. All right, we got 2 more players. First one, maybe my favorite thing I got right all offseason. Christian Kirk, wide receiver 15, 12.5 half-point PPR points per game. I'm taking him as a top 20 receiver at the end of the year. They paid him as such. People were doubting it. He had productive years in Arizona. Was he the main option? No. But as time's gone on, is Cliff Kingsbury a little inept at calling offensive plays in the NFL? I mean, it hasn't been good. I don't think that all of that lack of production was all Kirk's fault necessarily, but clearly Trevor Lawrence's favorite target. He's making plays happen down the field. He's reliable, and within 10 yards, they look at him in a variety of situations. I really like Kirk. He's a very talented wide receiver. I think a lot of people were sleeping on him. I have him as a top 24 dynasty wide receiver. I don't think that should be controversial. But yeah, I'm taking Christian Kirk. He's another guy that you're not cheaply buying him, but if you buy him now, it will be buying low relative to his end-of-year value.
I agree with you. Definitely. I mean, he didn't have the greatest week. I know we talked about him last week.
And the coaching staff's out here talking about giving him like 10 targets after that.
Yeah, he didn't get shit. He didn't get shit rolling. I mean, he didn't have a good statistical week, and they didn't have a good week either. Trevor Lawrence got picked off twice by Houston. I really would have rather us not won that game, to be honest with you. What's the point? Kind of my thought. We're not going to contend in that division. We're not going to contend in the NFL. I didn't really see the point. I did love to see some defensive players get after it, but I mean, I know at this point in the season, I have a good idea of what we have on the team, and clearly they should too because that's their job, right? Winning games at this point really doesn't make any sense to me. We should be throwing those players out that we don't know about and learning about them at this point. But regardless, yeah, they're Christian Kirk. He's still that dude. I see him as a wide receiver too. Dynasty stash. I mean, he's still very young. Definitely got some serious dynasty value, especially if Trevor Lawrence is who we think he is, right? If he continues,
I got that Trevor Lawrence Christian Kirk dynasty staff.
At Trevor Lawrence, yeah, no, I love Trevor Lawrence. I really hope he continues to grow. I think the expectations for him right out of the gate on a Jaguars team were just completely fucking unrealistic. I mean, that team has sucked for so long. It's going to take some time to
The
fix it.
fact that he didn't have a complete meltdown was the impressive piece.
Speaks to his character a lot, because even Blake Bortles went through some hard times in Jacksonville. Every quarterback has, right?
Mm.
But yeah, I'm in on him as a top 2 or wide receiver 2, and I think they continue to build on that.
Yep. Last player, most fun one to talk about. Taysom Hill, tight end 3, 14.6 fantasy points per game. I'll start here because I have the stats in front of me. I just want to highlight something. So, tight end 3, Taysom Hill, the 3rd highest scoring tight end in fantasy football, has 1 catch for 21 yards, and that's it. 228 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns, plus a passing touchdown, though. Yeah, it's something.
What do you do with that?
You know, the fucked up part, he's going to finish as a top 12 fantasy tight end.
Yeah, he will, but it's not
playable.
It's not. Yeah, no, it's not debatable. I mean, yes, he will, but
Fuck,
what the
already
fuck
be there with 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, what do you call a guy like that? He's not a tight end.
No.
He's almost like a productive fullback.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's how they use him. He is. Well, yeah. I wouldn't want to roster him anywhere, but if all your other tight ends drop dead, how Keenan Allen and T. Higgins have this last week for me on some teams, fuck, maybe. I mean, it's a fun play. He might score 4 touchdowns, or he might score 1, and it's anywhere in between there, and you just don't know.
You know, I mean, we all know how tight end is. It's you either have Andrews and Kelsey, or everybody else. And if you're in everybody else territory, why not? If they're going to continue to label him as a tight end, either he goes out there and does dog shit nothing like the other tight end you have on the roster. I mean, if you don't have Kittle or Kelsey, you are touchdown dependent. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I think maybe Gerald Everett's kind of on that cusp of having some value if he doesn't get a touchdown, but like we talked about with Keenan Allen, I think that's going to come to an end soon. But yeah, I mean, say you went out there like me. I have so much Dalton Schultz, it's not even funny, and I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it right now because he is not doing dog shit anything. The last 2 weeks he's played, he's gotten me 2 points. And fuck, I'm looking at guys on the waiver wire. I'm like, hey, Noah Fant don't look that bad. Will Disley, shit, these guys are getting 4.
Tight end 12, Will Disley?
Huh?
He's the tight end 12 on the year. Will Disley is. And half-point PPR score.
I told you Josh Reynolds is a wide receiver 23. Isn't
fantasy football is crazy every year. So
it really. But yeah, so I would if I didn't have Kittle or Kelsey, I would go if he's still on your waiver wire, which he shouldn't be. Fuck, what's the difference from starting whoever you're starting?
I think there's a real argument that he should play more snaps. My fiance is a Saints fan, so I watched a lot of the games. I think there's a real argument that he should maybe play 70% of the offensive snaps. He can catch the ball.
We've got to figure out what to label this guy. He's not a tight end.
Well, you should play him at tight end. I mean, kind of. Hybrid. I think he should have running back eligibility.
I think he should be a fullback.
Yeah.
With running back eligibility.
Yes. Yeah.
Just Juszczyk, and who's the other one in Baltimore that's halfway decent?
Oh, God, I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about. Pat Ricard. I pick him up on Madden on my franchises every year. He's a mean lead blocker in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is the greatest fullback in the game right now because 1 catch for 14 yards, but he's out there fucking slinging touchdowns, which he's not very good.
Touchdowns.
I guess he's better than Andy Dalton. Weird. It's a weird thing, and it drives fantasy commissioners fucking crazy because you've always got that person bitching about how Taysom Hill fucking carved him up out of the tight end slot, and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do about it? I can't change eligibility status. I can't change positional values for players.
I do think I'm going to call you out here, bad commish skills. I'm just messing with you. This was just a hard position. We never ever talked about it. There's a year where Taysom Hill was starting at quarterback 1 week, and he still had tight end eligibility.
I know. I remember.
I do think the correct move would have been, even though you can't change it, to step in and say, if you play Taysom Hill at tight end, I'm going to take him off the starting lineup and put your whatever tight end with the highest projections in. Because I do think that was a misstep, but it wasn't the sleeper, and I think ESPN was what we were on at the time, should have done that for you already. It shouldn't have even came down to that point. So that's where I understand not doing anything, because it's hard.
Here's where I'm at in the leagues that I commission. If he starts at quarterback, he better not fucking be in your tight end slot. And if he starts at tight, or you know what I mean? Like, I think they fixed his eligibility to just tight end, which is bullshit because, truthfully, the guy could be interchangeable. He should have quarterback eligibility. He should have running back eligibility. Fuck, really, he should have wide receiver eligibility. I mean, he should be able to be played in any of those slots. But the second he starts at quarterback, or he's listed as a starter, that's when you got to cut the rest of them.
Yep. All right, so I have to go run and grab a computer cord from my bedroom. So I'll have you talk about your 2 betting locks. I'll be back before you're done, and it will be like I never left. So you have 49ers at Atlanta under 45.5, and Cleveland minus 2.5 against my Pats. Talk about it. I'll be right back. You won't even notice I'm gone.
All right, so 49ers Atlanta under 45.5. My big point on this is neither team has really been cooking on offense. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's kind of more of a game manager. I think we really understand that. Their offense is really driven by the run. Atlanta, they've kind of hit or miss. They've struggled a little bit. I truthfully believe that they will come out running. Nick Chubb, running back 1 or 2, I can't remember at this point on the year. They're going to get up a few scores, and I think they just kind of coast. And that's kind of the way I see that going. Under 45 is where I'm placing my bets this week. Cleveland minus 2.5. Like I said, Nick Chubb's going to get in there. Patriots defense is good, but here's the problem. They are good against the run. I think it's a narrow victory for Cleveland just because New England doesn't have a lot of offense going for them. Who the hell's starting at quarterback? I really don't know. Bailey Zappi. Yeah, Bailey Zappi starting at quarterback this week. I just think Cleveland gets up a couple scores and they let Nick Chubb ride it out, Kareem Hunt. I think 2.5. So you're basically saying Cleveland's going to win by 3 points. I think that's absolutely doable. I don't think they even remain competitive if the defense doesn't have a very good game. So that's kind of where I'm at with my 2 locks. 49ers under 45.5, which is not going to be a big shooting game.
DeMeco Ryans he's going to fuck Mariota.
They have a nasty secondary, and that gets into one of my hates for this week is the 49ers secondary is the real deal. And those are my locks for the week.
So I like Cleveland minus 2.5 too. The only thing I could see is Belichick doing what he did to the Lions last week. Belichick's such a good defensive coordinator that in games against shitty teams, he can just beat them with scheme. It's actually kind of fun to watch, but Chubb might be too good for that. I don't know. We'll see. Bailey Zappi might be better than Mac Jones. Not better, but he'll take risks that Mac doesn't, and I like that. My two locks, staying with 49ers in Atlanta. I have the 49ers minus 5.5. I have the 49ers as a 7-point favorite. Atlanta's been really good against the spread. I want to say they're undefeated against the spread, so they usually play better than what they're expected to. But D'Amico Ryans is just too good. No one scored over 20 points on San Francisco. Second, Jacksonville +2 versus Indianapolis. Now, I got this in before JT and Hines were out, so maybe it's different now. I bet by the game it's at least a pick 'em between the two. But with no JT and Hines, Jacksonville's already beat Indianapolis 24-0. Now, it was in Jacksonville, but already beat them that much. That was with Jonathan Taylor in the game. No JT, no Hines. Matt Ryan has looked bad this year. He looks like he's an old man quarterback. I think Jacksonville wins the game outright. I don't really think it's going to be that close.
Who would have thought that Carson Wentz was better for the Colts than Matt Ryan? Who would have thought? Because I get Matt Ryan, and immediately in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's a plus for Michael Pittman. That's a plus for Jonathan Taylor's receiving value. That's a plus for Naheem Hines. Like that acquisition checks so many boxes for me because I'm like plus. Better quarterback, not fitting as well. That's just what it is. Or maybe he is really just at that point in his career where he's fallen off. But his draft buddy, Joe Flacco's still that dude. He just hasn't gotten that opportunity, right? Maybe he's a little more rested, maybe, but Joe Flacco was out there fucking slinging it those few games he started. I mean, was he not?
I can't say I would be curious to watch him start a full year somewhere. Like Indianapolis, like a team that
he might be the next guy. Indianapolis fucking loves to recycle a quarterback. So, maybe they go five years in a row and they're like, hey, Joe, what are you doing? Obviously nothing, come out here, right? They love to take a quarterback past their fucking prime or not relevant to their prime kind of thing. Yeah, so Joe Flacco, still that dude. Matt Ryan is in fact not that dude.
Yeah. All right, your parlay on the week. All about Kenneth Walker. You have a Walker anytime touchdown, Walker over 64.5 rush yards, Seattle +2.5, and a fumble loss. I think it's any fumble loss, but you'll have to tell me about that one. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, so that was something I stumbled across, and I love it because it upped the odds by like 200. It was just like you start like I've told you guys, when we start talking about our parlay of the week, I just go in there and I start nitpicking shit, and I'll go and I'll pick something. If it doesn't increase my odds, I'll delete it. I'll keep going and just picking through all the lines. A fumble lost is literally either team has a fumble and it's lost. That upped the odds by 200 points right there. I could absolutely see that happening because, I mean, in these games, I've seen DK fumble. I've seen Kyler fumble. I've seen, you're talking about essentially two guys at running back who don't play a lot, haven't played a lot, of rookie. I love those odds for a fumble loss this week. Just somebody. I don't fucking care who does it. Somebody's going to cough that shit up. Could be on a kick return. I don't know. I love it. Kenneth Walker, I think, is going to have a big week. He's kind of filling that Rashad Penny role, and they love to run that shit, right? You talked about it earlier. They don't throw a whole hell of a lot. They kind of lean on that run game, and I still think Kenneth Walker might be that dude. My Rashad Penny stocks are dead. I don't think we see him in a Seahawks uniform ever again. I think he goes to another team on a cheap deal next year, like a prove-it deal. Who knows where that'll be? Doesn't matter. Absolutely love that anytime touchdown. That 64.5, 65, something like that. And then the Seahawks to win by 3 because here's the deal: that Arizona Cardinals team is not what we thought it was. I think we're like 3 or 4 years in a row of them not being it. And I think we know who to blame at this point because it's Cliff Kingsbury. There's no way around it. Now they do get the DeAndre Hopkins back next week, and I think that does a lot for Kyler Murray and that offense. But I don't see them clicking. They're not really doing like that. That offense, the way everybody sees it, the way reporters report on it, they should be beating the fucking brakes off people, right? And they're just not doing it. That was the expectation with Cliff Kingsbury coming to Arizona, is that he was going to have this magical offense like he did at Texas Tech. We know that hasn't happened. I think he's as much on the hot seat as Rule was in Carolina, and it's just a matter. I think they lose 2 more games, he might get fired.
I think the only hang-up I had looked while you were talking, because should have done this earlier. I wasn't sure how many times NFL teams really fumbled during a game. The Seahawks have 11 on the year. I didn't even look at the Cardinals, who are also a not very well-coached team with not excellent players. I like that one. That's a fun one. Now, I like that one. I love mine. Mine, I totally centered on the Chiefs and the Bills. The game last year that came down to Pat Mahomes having 14 seconds left. This guy is a plus 700. It consists of Josh Allen over 2.5 passing touchdowns. Allen over 299.5 passing yards. Mahomes over 2.5 pass touchdowns. Over 6.5 total touchdowns. Over 54.5 total points in the game, and over 27.5 points by halftime. This is going to be a shootout. The Chiefs don't have a great defense. Buffalo, Mahomes is of a level, and there's only 4 or 5 quarterbacks who are at this level. Mahomes is at a level that Tom Brady used to be at for many, 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 many years. In fact, so many years that no one else is ever going to match it. Mahomes is at the level that no matter how good your defense is, he can beat it, especially if he's locked in. Now, can you catch him in the middle of the regular season sleeping? Sure, but he won't be sleeping against the Bills at all. It's in Arrowhead. The Chiefs are underdogs for the first time in Arrowhead, and I want to say Patrick Mahomes' career.
Right.
I see Allen going off, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's the bare minimum this game. Mahomes going off. Now, Mahomes had the same passing yards line. It was 299. I was afraid of that one with him because he doesn't have as explosive weapons down the field. I'm not as hesitant with him throwing a lot of touchdowns, but those yards, he doesn't have a Gabe Davis that can take the top. I mean, Marquez Valdez-Scantling's okay at it, but he doesn't even have a Gabe Davis down there that can take the top off the field. So,
I'm scum,
Yeah, exactly. They played a lot more short game, and he's looked good doing it. And then all the point totals, 7 total touchdowns, that's 35 points. That's quick.
Right.
27.5 points at halftime. 2 touchdowns each team. Love it. Over 54.5 total points. 28 to 28 gets you there. If the game's a shootout like I think it is, I think this is very reasonable.
Absolutely. You remember that a few years ago, that Rams-Chiefs game that was like 56-52 or some shit like that? That's my expectation for this game. It's going to be one of those. And it's just because both of those offenses are so good. Here's the deal. If you play in a league with a defense, I understand the Bills have a good defense. Fucking sit them. Please sit them. Please sit them. If you have a Chiefs defense, I understand they're doing okay too. Sit them. That's not any water you want to tread on because those two are out for blood. Chiefs are trying to get revenge for that, or Bills are trying to get revenge for that coin flip game. It's going to be, that's the one I'm going to watch. I don't usually with fantasy, I try to err on I have more players in this game. I'm going to watch this game. That's kind of the way I like to go. If there's a Texans game on, I'm going to watch that, even though we're going to get the dog shit beat out of us. Luckily, we're on bye this week. Can't lose if we're on bye, right?
Yeah.
But that's the game I'm looking forward the most to watching because I think it's going to be an offensive masterpiece, so to speak. So.
Yeah, I usually watch Red Zone so I can keep track of all my betting.
I think
I'm not going to watch Red Zone Sunday. I don't care. I'm watching that Bills-Chiefs game. We're going to be fall decorating outside, Chiefs game inside. I can't wait for that.
I'd take the Chiefs money line in this game.
I don't know if I want to take a money line in this game. It's going to come down to who has the ball last. That's solely, it's one of those who's going to get the ball at the last possession. I would not be surprised if this game, both teams over 35. If both teams ended up over 50, I wouldn't be shocked.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you remember that Rams game, right? Where it was like 56, 52, or some shit like that.
Arrowhead is going to be rocking. The Bills travel well. That's like a college atmosphere already up there in Kansas City. That will be a fun game to watch. All right, 15, 20-ish minutes. Go through these loves, go through these hates, get out of here. All right, your first love, you have Justin Herbert. Real quick, Justin Herbert is playing the Broncos on Monday Night Football. But the Mahomes versus Allen game is at 3 o'clock on Sunday? What? Cooper Rush is playing Jalen Hurts on Sunday Night Football. We could do that on Monday night, have the Chiefs game in primetime, and then not watch Denver?
Those schedule makers, man, they live a lawless life, you know. Yeah, so Justin Herbert, I love Herbert this week. I love Herbert every week, so to speak, but especially against the Broncos, trash fucking defense. Offense isn't going to keep up with them. I think Herbert goes out there and tosses a bunch of dimes. Herbert's been coming back from that rib injury. I think they kind of two-ed him. I think the reports more indicated that he two-ed himself.
I was just about to say that with the same verbiage.
He two-ed himself. So anyway you see it, I think he's getting a little more healthy. I think he's coming back a little bit more. They have some injuries on that team, but ultimately the Broncos are fucking garbage. And it brings me no more happiness than to know that Justin Herbert's going to go out there and just drop a fucking, you know, he might drop a 30-40 burger on him just because.
Yeah, I'm tired of watching Denver in primetime. I'm done.
They love it.
I think Russ might really be hurt. I saw something funny on Twitter. You know how in years past we had week 1 to week 8 dangerous, and week 9 to week 16 this Russell Wilson? What if it's just inverse this year? What if after week 8 we get dangerous again? Broncos country, let's ride.
There is a funny narrative out there right now, and I watched it earlier, and it was Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch on his podcast. Have you seen this yet?
No.
Where basically the gist of it was Richard Sherman was kind of trashing Russell Wilson, and Marshawn Lynch was like, hey, I wish I could just talk to the guy. And basically he kind of came back with you have to talk to his manager first. And which sparked this whole thing where apparently to talk to Russell Wilson, even if you're on the same team as him, you apparently have to talk to his manager to get in contact with. Like nobody has his phone number type of thing. And I just thought that was hilarious because Marshawn Lynch is a national treasure. I love watching this fucking guy's interviews and shit like that. And he was just basically like, hey, dog, if I can't call you direct, I ain't going to call you.
I love Marshawn.
So that's just a weird narrative that, like, apparently you have to call his manager to get in touch with him.
Hey, weird. He's in Vegas a lot, Caden. We might see Marshawn. What's up? I'll call you direct, Marshawn.
Hey, just don't hit me.
All right. Yeah, I like Herbert versus Denver, though. I'm tired of watching Denver. I mean, something's weird there because you don't have a wide receiver taking his help. They know they know it's prime time. They know there's cameras everywhere. You don't have a wide receiver pulling his helmet off and throwing it against the ground on the field after a play if there's not some funky, weird disconnect going on between quarterback and player. Yeah. I don't know. So, my first love of the week, I have Darrell Henderson versus Carolina. Going back to that Cam Akers deal, Henderson's going to be the guy. Malcolm Brown's the only other running back on the roster that wasn't already on the practice squad. So I'm sure they elevate another. But as of right now, just Hendo and Malcolm Brown. I think it's going to be Henderson's season until Williams comes back. And Williams, he might not really be back until, week 10, week 11 fully. You might see a limited snap count for a while. So for the immediate future, Henderson is going to be the guy. He showed promise last year, handling a decent workload in the first 8 or 9 weeks of the season. I'm looking at him, 15 carries, 4 or 5 targets, some goal line work. I do think the Rams beat Carolina. They have been bad. They're not going to lose to Carolina, though, especially after Rule gets fired. So I do like Henderson this week. He's a really good DFS play. Going to end up as a top 20 running back.
Top 20, probably top 12. Henderson's that dude. There was a couple of leagues where you get that value later on, and you're like, yeah, there's no brainer but to take him in the 12th, 13th, 14th round. And I bid on that in a couple of leagues, and I'm feeling pretty good about that right now, especially given everything that's happened. Henderson, he's another dude, man. He's a guy that runs hard. He's productive. He can actually catch the ball out of the backfield. He is what I think they thought Cam Akers was going to be. Just better, to be honest. So, yeah, love Henderson this week. I would fire him up. If you're a DFS player, that's an MVP type of player for this game. If you're in one of those weird spreads where you got to pick an MVP for the game, I love picking Darrell Henderson this week as the MVP.
Yeah, Hendo, he's a good play this week. So your second love, you have ETN up against Indianapolis.
Yeah, so we talked about it earlier. My biggest thing is ETN's taken over this backfield, 120 yards, whatever, last week. Just getting elite yardage. Hasn't really had as much touchdown luck. I think we kind of see that change this week. Colts are struggling all around the ball, and I think it's just time for ETN to carve them up.
Yeah, ETN's seen an increasing snap share week to week over these first 5 weeks. Looked like the much better back, clearly, last week. Last week was like the first game where you really, really watch it and you're like, yeah, he's much better.
And I was like, I'm not going to get flamed by that fantasy receipts account.
Oh, that's funny. And people get butthurt about it, too. People get so butthurt. They're like, they're hurting. They're making fun of people. They're attacking them. No, they're just saying you're an idiot.
Thanks,
And, I mean, honestly, I just wish they would tweet one of mine. Go find an Allen Robinson one. Go blast it to your 5,000 followers.
You got a lot of those, don't you?
I have a lot of those.
Too, so they could get me.
So, my last love, I have Mike Evans going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is gouged at cornerback. No Minka Fitzpatrick. They were already only the 18th best pass DVOA defense with all these players. So, heavily banged up secondary. We have the Tom Brady divorce tour. We have the Tom Brady divorce tour going on. So,
yeah,
I think that Evans will at least see 7 targets and a touchdown. I'm not sure how many more than that we're going to see. But I love him as a play this week. He has, let me find it. I didn't put it down here. He has plus 600-ish odds to score 2 or more touchdowns. I hit that up.
Wow. Okay. Plus 600. Them good numbers.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. I'm pissed. When Kelsey scored 4, I saw the plus 3 number, and it was like plus 1,400. And I was like, ooh, that's nice. I should do that. And I didn't. And I was pissed because he sure enough scored 4. All right.
25 yards. 25.
Some Taysom Hill numbers.
Yeah.
All right. Your first hate. You put Dak or Cooper Rush. I don't think Dak's playing, so Cooper Rush versus Philly.
Yeah, so it's been a good story, right? I lived in Dallas for, oh God, how long did I live in Dallas? 6, 7 years. The Dallas media just loves to make something out of nothing. It's all Cowboys down there. It's almost sacrilegious if you don't like the Cowboys. Your camera went off. Yeah, and that's just the way it is. And there's all this talk about, is Cooper Rush gonna take away from Dak Prescott? No, he's not. He's just got some very matchups that he's worked through. I just don't foresee him even scratching the surface of being competitive in this game versus the Eagles. I've talked about this a lot. The Eagles cornerback duo is nasty. I mean, Bradbury and Slay, those are two dudes you do not want to fuck with. And I knew it as soon as James Bradbury's been a criminally underrated corner his whole career. Everybody wants to talk about, all these other guys, but he has been a very good corner. I just don't see them competing against the Eagles defense. And then you mix in the fact that the Eagles offense is as good as they are. Jalen Hurts is that fucking dude. As much as I don't want to admit I was wrong about that, Jalen fucking Hurts is that dude.
Yeah. I think that the Cowboys fans who want Cooper Rush over Dak are going to get silenced real fast. Cowboys fans are dumb. Those are the most unintelligent breed of fucking people. They're the worst redneck fuckers in Texas that'll do it, too. It's the ones that don't even know what they're watching. They're like, I like Cooper Rush.
They'll fucking rob the liquor store and beat their wife right after that.
A certain family member of ours who will remain unnamed is one of them I'm referring to. A certain man who likes to go out to the club. Woo woo. All right, my first hate. I have Matt Stafford versus Carolina. Stafford has been bad this year. It has not been good. We talked about it earlier. 32nd in adjusted yards per attempt, 26th in base yard per attempt. There's no time to throw, nothing down the field. I think we'll see a heavy dose of Henderson, maybe an Allen Robinson revival week. On the 6th week, he has risen. But other than that, I don't want much of Stafford.
Hope so, right? Yeah, no, absolutely.
If you could take off the white cloth and look at my man Allen, that would be great.
Here's the deal. The reason that I'm agreeing with you is we talked about an underrated corner in James Bradbury, but J.C. Horn, he might be that fucking dude too.
Yeah, I hope he locks up Cup.
He's gonna lock his ass up. I mean, we all laughed at the draft when they took J.C. Horn because we're like, who the fuck is this guy? Why are they taking him that high? And if you look at the numbers, like the PFF numbers, he's locking motherfuckers up. I mean, he's a guy we need to put some respect on, J.C. They have a decent defense. Their offense obviously is fuck all garbage. But I think they make things miserable for Matt Stafford. I really do. I think that secondary is pretty good. And I think if the Rams are going to do what I think they're going to do, they're going to have to manage this game on the ground, which is not going to involve Matt Stafford at all. So absolutely agree. One quarterback league. I don't think Matt Stafford's startable, which is funny because for me, he was a league winner last year. And I knew I was smart enough last year to know that I didn't need to repeat that recipe. And I have no shares of Matt Stafford, and I couldn't be happier about it.
I have one, but I got him in like the late 3rd round of a super flex draft. So I mean, it's okay. I probably deserved it. All right, your next hate: Drake London versus San Francisco.
Yeah, this just goes back to what we were talking about. D'Amico Ryans and that secondary is nasty. I want no part of any pass catcher and I love Pitts. Trust me, I'm still conducting the Pitts train, but it ain't this week. They are too good in that secondary to be beaten by Mariota. It's just what it is. If they score at all, it's going to be a random, like, Mariota takes off and runs 15 yards into the end zone. They're not going to be beaten the pass game, and that's just the truth of it. They are too good at the secondary level to even have thought that that's the way that could go. So For me, I'm sitting Drake London. You probably can't sit Pitts if you drafted him. Let's just be real. You're hoping for a lot of yardage off of a lot of little catches, but I'll be real with you. I mean, you can't.
The Kyle Pitts thing now in Dynasty, he's a guy that he'll be fine. Like I'm not worried about him long term. But all these fantasy people getting these big accounts. Kyle Pitts, 3rd round. You get Mark Andrews in the 3rd round. Why the fuck would you draft Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts wasn't a top 7-round draft pick. I wouldn't have drafted him until the 8th or 9th round.
In my Paulie's playoff, he went early 2nd round. Early. And I couldn't fucking believe it when I saw it. I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, went early 2nd round. And that's the thing is the hype was just too real for a 2nd-year player. You're expecting this guy to perform at a Mark Andrews or a Travis Kelce level year 2 with a shitty fucking quarterback, with a shitty fucking coach. Like, trust me, I'm all about the hype. I think his physical aspects outweigh a lot of things, but still, you got to realize that this guy is still only 22 years old. Marcus Mariota ain't it. Arthur Smith ain't it. They got a lot of shit to do in Atlanta before they are a competitive football team.
Yeah, I don't know if Kyle Pitts would even be – he'd be a top 8 tight end. I don't think he'd be the tight end 1 or 2, even with, like, Aaron Rodgers. It's just tight ends take a while to develop. Even Mark Andrews, who's uber talented, not quite the same talent as Pitts, but it's just going to take some time. And if he was going crazy like that, he'd be getting double teamed, which he already is, but he would be getting a lot more attention. He'd have to learn how to work through that. So either way, it just was not in the cards for the 2nd-year tight end to be a top 3 option.
2 or 3 years from now, you better watch out.
If you can buy him low in Dynasty, like, do it. Like, today, if you can get him for a 2023 first, you do that every single time. You don't ask a question. You just do it.
Well, if in the Dynasty League you're in, and the fact that I have him, there's not a fucking chance you're going to get him for a 1st-round pick. I'm going to need 3 to 4.
JT, though.
We'll talk about that after this.
All right. Last. Tyreek Hill versus Minnesota. My last hate. This all comes down to Skylar Thompson playing quarterback. 3rd-string rookie out of K-State. He was okay in the Big 12, but wasn't anything spectacular. Hill saw 7 targets last week and only 32 air yards. You think of him how you thought of 2019 Jamison Crowder. A lot of targets, all short distance. He might break something loose. It is Tyreek Hill. But if I have to guess, that Minnesota secondary and the whole defense is going to be keyed in on him because if they limit him, offense isn't doing shit. So look for Tyreek Hill to be maybe a wide receiver 3 or 4. If I have Christian Kirk and Tyreek Hill and Kirk's on my bench, I'm starting Kirk over Hill.
I'm gonna have to wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, here's the thing: you can have the greatest wide receiver in the world, but if you're limited at the quarterback position, they are not going to. I couldn't go out like Tyreek couldn't go out there with me and perform. That's just the way it is. And I'm not saying Skylar Thompson's as bad at quarterback as I am, but you got to realize the drop off. You're talking about a guy that wouldn't even start over Teddy Bridgewater, so you're thinking a downgrade from there. You got to temper your expectations. And the pure fact that Tyreek Hill really thrives off of the deep ball. You want to know why we didn't really hear much about Tyreek Hill when Alex Smith was a quarterback? Because Alex Smith couldn't fucking get it to him. He didn't know how to unlock what Tyreek Hill was. He couldn't do it. So we didn't really hear shit about Tyreek Hill until Mahomes came along. So, yeah, the fact that Skylar Thompson's playing this week, there is just really no shot that he has a great week. Same thing can be said about Jalen Waddle, even though I think Jalen Waddle is a little bit better in the short yardage game than Tyreek Hill is, just because he's a little bit bigger. That's my thing. That's my take on it. I would start Jalen Waddle as a flex. I would probably not start Tyreek Hill at all. But here's the thing: you talk about a Tyreek Hill. If you got him, you probably don't have the option to not start him. So just understand where you're at.
Yeah. All right. Last, we'll go 3 rapid fire here. Taysom Hill or TJ Hawkinson rest of the season. We're not talking week to week. Not who would you rather have. Who scores more points at the end of the year? Taysom Hill or TJ Hawkinson?
I'm gonna say Taysom Hill, but here's my fucking problem: is TJ Hawkinson's 40 or 4, baby. That's it. Like, he cannot just get you 10 points a game. That is not in his DNA. He is like a guy that's just going to go absolutely batshit fucking crazy or just not even put on his uniform. So, end of year, Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I agree. Taysom Hill or Zach Ertz?
Taysom Hill, because Zach Ertz's fucking production's about to go way down when Hopkins goes back. That's my take.
Yeah, it's going to be Brown's going to be in the Hopkins role. Target share wise, Brown will be the Hopkins of last year. Hopkins will be the Ertz, and Ertz will be the AJ Green. And Rondale Moore is going to be Christian Kirk. That's Cliff Kingsbury's a simple-minded coach. That's how this is going to work. All right, we get you on record here with the fun one. Darren Waller or Taysom Hill?
I'm going to say Darren Waller because I want him to be better. I think Darren Waller has the opportunity to be a little more consistent, but in reality, like total points scored at the end of the year, it's probably going to be Taysom Hill.
I was going to say, I think I have Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, there's a realistic outcome where Mark Ingram doesn't play. Taysom Hill's the power back, and he scores double-digit touchdowns this year. He already has 5.
Here's my thing. If none of these platforms do anything about it, we continue to let Taysom Hill ride at the tight end. Who's to say he won't be the tight end 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, bro put up, 30 fucking points last week?
If he does that 2 more times this year, I don't think it quite matters if he only scores 3 to 5 the rest of the games.
It's a tight end 3. If he does that 2 more times this year, and then he could fucking tear his Achilles, and he'd probably still be the tight end, because that's how the position goes. And it's one of those things that drives me fucking insane year after year after year, because you can have a great team, but if your tight end scores you fucking 2 points a week, you're always going to be sitting there wondering why. Why the fuck is this happening to me? What do I do to fix it? And the only goddamn answer is to go get Kittle or Mark Andrews, or Kelsey or Mark Andrews. I'm sorry.
Would you trade a 23 first and Mike Evans for Mark Andrews?
Fuck yeah.
I just think that's fun. Okay, so last thing.
I forgot you.
Kittle, the tight end for 2021, George Kittle. 71 receptions, 94 yards, 910 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. George Kittle scored 127 fantasy points. This is just standard. Taysom Hill might be a top 5 tight end in standard scoring in the year. He's already like halfway there.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much, and that's the problem. I mean, yeah, it's a fucking wild world. I think 2 years from now, like I said, Kelsey or Kyle Pitts will be in that conversation. But God damn it, like right now, you either have Kelsey or you have Andrews, or you hate everybody. Saw a guy that posted, if you didn't get Kelsey or Andrews, just fucking fade the whole position. And he couldn't have been more. I really need to start getting names so I can give credit to those people who said these things. But yeah, if you didn't get Andrews or Kelsey, just fade the whole position. And yeah, I mean, year after year, it used to be Kelsey and Gronk. There was that time when it was Kelsey and Ertz. It's really been like 2 tight ends for the past probably 10 years, and we just need to accept it.
Do you think that ever changes?
I mean, there's some good guys coming out.
Those Georgia tight ends, they have like 3 motherfuckers who are good.
Yeah. And
I think Bowers is the worst of the 3 at the NFL level. And he's going to be good. He's Pat Freiermuth on steroids.
Yeah, Pat Freiermuth. And everybody thought damn it, Pat Fryermuth was going to be Gronk Jr. And he's got similarities. I see where the comparison came from, but he's still not Gronk. There's not. I mean, you think about the history of the tight end position going up to right now. There was Gronk, there was Tony Gonzalez, there was Antonio Gates, there was the
Winslow for a year or two,
elder Kellen Winslow. But name another one that had a fantasy relevance.
Yeah. Anything else we want to hit?
Good luck to you. 2 weeks from now, we'll be in Vegas. Definitely get your bets in this week, gentlemen. I think
the 101 of drinks?
Margarita
Drinking content leading up to Vegas. 101 of drinks.
Margarita. Leave it in the comments, but if you agree with me, just drop a line, baby. Just drop a line because Margarita is the 101. I'm drinking an Angry Orchard just because it's fall and I had 3 left.
I gotta go. I'm doing shots. I'm drinking a girly drink, yeah, margarita. If I'm drinking beer, I like fancy beer. I don't like apple beer. I don't like Bud Light. I don't like piss water. I like flavor.
Here's the thing. I've been a degenerate for a long time. I like margaritas, and if I'm drinking a beer, I like Michelob Ultra because I like to wash my girlish feet.
The 101 of drinks are Jaeger shots. They taste since they taste like black licorice, they don't taste like alcohol, and that's the beauty.
No, they taste like shitty licorice alcohol. Because here's the deal: I used to love Jaeger. I used to love Jaeger bombs. That's all good and great, but once you've had the shit come out of your nose, you kind of lose the taste.
See, I've never had it come out of my nose. So
once you keep that out and slept in a bush, come talk to me about how you still like it.
Hey. We might see what's up in a couple of weeks. All right, guys. Have a good Sunday. Good luck.